Good morning to everyone. Please, let's stand for the national anthem and territorial song done by Melanie Pajano and Zikanka Jeffers.
God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen. God save our Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, Lord, to reign over us. God save our Queen. Out of the huts of history's pain, our ancestors bled and died. But with strength and with power we overcame to restore the Virgin Islands' pride. To preserve the beauty we devise a plan to maintain ownership of this precious land. Educating your people is the golden key to maintain the success of this territory. Oh, how radiant are your daughters, and how wealthy are your sons. Your beaches boast your beauty, and your success is second to none. Green and brilliant are your hillsides, they replenish our hopes and pride. Oh, beautiful Virgin Islands, your qualities can never be denied. May God richly bless this territory. May we ask three things of thee. Courage for our great leaders, that they may rule our destiny. We ask for wisdom for our people, that they may live in harmony. And understanding for our children, that they may cherish this legacy. Oh, how radiant are your daughters, and how wealthy are your sons. Your beaches boast your beauty, and your success is second to none. Green and brilliant are your hillsides, they replenish our hopes and pride. Oh, beautiful Virgin Islands, your qualities can never be denied. Your beautiful Virgin Islands, your qualities can never be denied. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's remain standing as Teacher Lashan Rapsat Ordain give us the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you praise and thanks for one more day. This is the day that you have made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for traveling mercies for those who drove to get here to celebrate with us today. We invite your presence here today, and we ask that everything will be done decently and in order. Dear Lord, we ask for your special touch on these equipments in this room as we dedicate them today, and ask that they will accomplish the purpose in which they were given to us. Hear this our prayer today, and dwell among us once more, I pray, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Dr. the Honorable Kedrick Pickering, Deputy Premier and Minister for Natural Resources and Labor, Honorable Myron V. Walwyn, Minister for Education and Culture, Honorable Marlon Penn, Representative for the 8th District, Mrs. Jillian Douglas Phillip, our Acting Chief Education Officer, Dr. Lavon Chawel Bruley, Acting Deputy Chief Education Officer, Miss Sheila George, Director of Hannies, Miss Deborah James, Principal of the Francis Lettsome Primary School, Miss Elena Foy, Past Principal of Francis Lettsome Primary School, Mr. Jeremiah Frett, PTA President, teachers, supporters, alumni of Francis Lettsome Primary School, students, teachers. We are happy to be here today, and we give special thanks to God and to Hannies, our sponsor, for making this day possible. On behalf of the Department of Education, I would like to thank Hannies, our sponsor, for helping the department to realize some of the aims that we have in providing and exposing our students to various skills. Hannies, you really do a lot for Francis Lettsome School. We are going to have our first remarks this morning given by Miss Sheila George of Hannies.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Honorable Deputy Premier, Minister of Natural Resources and Labour, Honorable Myron Walwyn, Minister of Education and Culture, Honorable Malcolm Penn, representative of the 8th District, all our principals, representative of education, our past principal, Ms. Foy, all invited guests. Today is a very important day for Hannies. We are indeed delighted to be able to contribute in this small way to the Francis Lettsome Primary School, to the many students present and to come, and to the general advancement of education in this territory. I am also personally very proud as I stand here today, because this is the very place I started my formal education so many years ago. Initially housed, as some of you may know, in the school just by the Longlook Church, then called the Longlook Primary School, before we moved over here after these premises were constructed. I vividly recall back in 2004, long before the Adopt a School program had become so popular, or was even introduced, when the partners of Hannies discussed sponsoring a school as a way of giving back to the community that had given us so much. For me, the choice was easy and obvious. I wanted it to be the place where I learned to read and write. The place where the teachers like Teacher Claudia and Teacher Harrigan, who I'm sure some of you may still know, taught us to do so much more than math and English. They taught us manners. They taught us strong values, how to respect our elders and authority, to work hard. They instill in us the value of the importance of people and community. Today, we have many of our staff at Hannies who either attended this school or have children who attended or are attending this school. We have on staff right now 3 other lawyers, one actually in our Hong Kong office, and several other members of staff who also started their formal education right here at this very school. I think we have at least 2 today, Arlette and Annette. Neville, you didn't start here. You did, right here, and Neville. And who are all doing extremely well on the very foundation built right here many years ago. So for Hannies, this is not just any school selected under the Adopt a School program. This is a place that is very important to a lot of us, a place that we are committed to, and a place that we want to ensure is successful. Hence, we are proud to stand in support of the school and its mission to become a model school for innovation and teaching. And we commit to helping the school in whatever way possible to achieve its mission. Over the years, we have done many things for this school. We sponsored enrichment activities, including art competitions, reading competition, where an average of more than 50 students from stage 2 to primary 5 read more than 300 books in 6 weeks. We purchased equipment, including steel pans and playground equipment, just to name a few. We recently purchased approximately 3,200 books for the library, which we expect to see as part of the resource center very soon. I understand that there are some issues, which I have no doubt, Honorable Minister of Education, is going to have resolved very soon, so the students can enjoy the new books and the facilities in short order. Madam Principal, we want to hear that the students are making good use and are taking care of the books, and that you are requiring them, once they start reading, to take home reading assignments every day. We have to push our children to read more and to help cultivate in them a love for reading and books. Over the last several months, we worked closely with the Minister of Education and his ministry and the school in getting the computer lab ready. And today we are here to celebrate the official opening of the new computer lab. While we are looking at 20 computer stations today in 20. For Hannies today, it's about so much more. It's about celebrating a public-private partnership which has enabled us to deliver computers into the classroom. We provided the 20 computers for the lab, and the government, through the Ministry of Education, appointed the first ever, I think, correct me, Mr. Minister, public primary school IT instructor in the classroom, in the person of Mr. Pope. Who I am told actually started classes last month. While we have done different things for this school over the many years, this latest investment in a computer lab gives us a special sense of pride. It is time, and many have said past time, that we put computers into the classroom. In today's environment, technological literacy is the foundation for practically every endeavor, career, or course of study imaginable. Putting information technology studies in public schools will significantly improve students' preparedness, both for future studies and ultimately careers. We are at the stage when every public primary school in this territory should have computers in the classroom. No question asked. It should not be left to the financial ability of the parent as to whether a child has access to and is able to learn how to use a computer, not in this technological age. Likewise, Honorable Minister of Education, we must train our teachers to be skilled in the use of computers. And you must make it a priority to ensure it is done before the next school term, since without the teachers being trained and comfortable, any effort to bring technology into the classroom will fail. Our strategic objectives for this school for the next 5 years are simple. We want to see all students graduating from this school reading at the correct grade level or above. We want them proficient in Spanish as a second language, and hence we want to see Spanish introduced, Honorable Minister, to students the day they enter the school, and hopefully an after-school club, Madam Principal, to enable those who have the gift to advance. We want them technologically fluent and able to apply technology correctly, even in science and mathematics. The partners made a decision, which was the easy part, but it took the commitment and dedication of many to get us to this place. to the hardworking staff at Hanley's who contributed in one way or another over the many years to this school, and in the last couple of months to get this place, making to their reality, I thank you. To our director, Susanna, and your team, including Shonda, who's not here today, who's on maternity leave, the project coordinator, who is on maternity leave, a big thank you. This would not have happened without all your hard work. Susanna did not attend this school, but she has a love and passion for this school, which is second to none. If I had to pick a single person from Hanley's to keep this vision going, who kept this vision going over the years, that person, without reservation, would be Susanna. So, Susanna, to our IT, admin, and business services staff who have helped over the years and with this particular project, a big thank you. I absolutely must recognize Neville Smith. Neville, who also works at Hanley's, but who was more than happy to jump in, Honorable Minister, at the request to get his partners at Caribbean Securities Limited to install the necessary security system for this room at no cost to the school, a value in the region of $2,000. Neville, a big thank you to you and your partners at Caribbean Security for installing the security system. Much appreciated. To Honorable Dr. Pickering, I know what this means to you. I want to publicly thank you on behalf of Hanley's for your commitment and support in getting us to this point. I know we can call on you at any time and that we have your full support for what we are doing at this school, which I know is very close to your heart as well. Honorable Minister of Education and Culture, this would not have happened without your boldness and your eagerness to get things done. I recall when I rang you in June this year, less than 3 months before the start of the school year, and told you we wanted to see IT instructions introduced at this school, that we would provide the computers, but we needed you to ensure a teacher was assigned and the class start in September. Without any reservation or hesitation whatsoever, you said, I'll do it. And you did. I recall the meeting Honorable Dr. Pickering kindly arranged at his office to give me an opportunity to sell the idea to you and to convince you why this was very important. You sat patiently and you listened. At the end, you said again, I'll do it. Not being as convinced, given a little time, I then said, we want it for September, thinking you would tell me, not enough time, Sheila. And you said, it will happen for September. In less than 3 months, we not only had a computer lab, we had a teacher, a syllabus, and classes started in September. Honorable Minister of Education, on behalf of the partners of Hanley's, the partners and staff at Hanley's, I want to thank you for enabling us to partner with government on this very important venture and for allowing this school to be used as a pilot for IT instructions in the classroom. In closing, because we do have a long agenda, we at Hanley's certainly want to appeal to the business community, and particularly those who have sponsored schools, whether they can do it individually or collectively, to help do the same so the minister can ensure that come September 2014, every public primary school in this territory has a computer lab in place and IT instructions in the classroom. Let us continue to partner with government to make a difference in the lives of the children and the future of this territory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. George. When we all work together, it is very beautiful. The result of all this is because all the partners were working together. We thank God for that. I can testify of the commitment of Hanley's as a liaison officer of this school. And Ms. George, we will continue to work together. We'll now have remarks by Our PTA President, Mr. Jeremiah Frett, followed by Honorable Marlon A. Penn. Mr. Frett.
I recognize the protocol already established. Ms. George, you said that you contribute in a very small way. May I say, it's not in no means a small way. You have contributed immensely to the success of Francis Lettsome Primary School. During our PTA meetings, especially the executive meeting, teacher Elena, for the past principal of the school, would always bring up the subject, the computer lab in the library. She will never, I don't think a meeting passed without her discussing those two issues and her relationship with Honey and how they are working together along with the Department of Education to make this a reality. So Teacher Elena, today is a very proud day for the school, and I thank you for your tenacity in ensuring that this happened, and for Teacher James and the department, everyone for continuing along that vein. I will not repeat some of the things that Ms. George said about the benefits of the school and the things that Honey working with the school. It don't make sense to repeat that, but I would say that Honey went beyond just about the school. They also wanted to involve the father. She did not mention that. They also wanted to involve the fathers in the school activities, and they had a Father's Day event at Lambert Bay Resort that was a resounding success. So I thank you very much for having that, because sometimes fathers are not active. Maybe you have PTA events, and who do you see coming to the school to pick up the children or meeting with the teachers? It's mostly the mothers. So trying to involve more fathers into the activities of the children, I think, was very important, as well as all the other things that you were doing. One more remark I'd like to make with regard to the use of the lab. Yes, we have to train our teachers. It's very important that they know how to operate. But as parents sometimes, some parents do not have a computer at home. Some of them not as much as before. They may have a cell phone, but still it's not as functional as a computer. And often, the computer is a great tool for research. And parents sometimes are not equipped with the tools on how to do research. Everybody says Google is their best friend, but sometimes when you Google items, there's a long list of items that comes up. So what are some of the sites? How do you navigate? And I make this to the PTA executive and also to the whole PTA body, that we're going to look and see how can we also train parents as well. I know the college and other organizations have training program, but right here in Francis Lettsome, how can we get our teachers to know how to navigate the sites? Perhaps after school, whether it be once a week or once a month, can come and learn right here probably with instructors, a person who's knowledgeable about in that area, how to use the system. So that's one challenge I put out to the school and the PTA to see how we can partner as well with Harneys. So congratulations, Ms. George, Department of Education, Ministry of Education, for this great initiative that come to fruition. Thank you.
Before I begin, I would like to say to the students, parents, and the principal and past principal of this institution, how very lucky you are to have the support of Harneys and to have support of 3 members of the House of Assembly. You have the Deputy Premier, who is the representative for the 7th District, and you have the Minister of Education, you have myself, the only school that has 2 representatives. even though Dr. Pickering would like to sit long, because his one, we share the responsibilities. So I support him in all his efforts in making this school the #1 school in the territory. So I just wanted to make sure that you, the students, teachers, understand that and cherish the gifts that you're given here today. So I just want to recognize the protocol that is already established and go into my brief remarks I promise to be brief. You know, we politicians have a tend to go overboard, but I surely will be brief. I don't know if my colleagues would subscribe, but I too will be brief. This morning, we are here to witness the official handing over of a refurbished computer lab from Harnies to Francis Lettsome Primary School, a gesture that reaffirms Harnies' commitment to partnership forged some years ago with this institution. This morning's gift from Harnies is significant in many ways, because the reality is, if we are to build a culture of excellence in our education system, like the minister often refers to, it requires the assistance of organizations like Harnies in being good corporate citizens. Harnies has held up their side of the partnership and maintained their commitment to this institution, not just in monetary donations. We heard the list of monetary donations that Harnies have made, but in terms of being a significant support structure to the Francis Lettsome Primary School. I see this not only as a support and commitment to Francis Lettsome Primary School, but as a commitment to the Eastern Long community, and by extension, our entire territory. For this unwavering support, I would like to commend Harnies, and more specifically, Ms. Sheila George, Managing Partners Harnies, and a daughter of the Eastern Long community, for her unwavering commitment to this institution. I'll pause here for a bit and just say to you, I didn't know Ms. George was an alumni of this institution. And I'll say to you, the students, again, that Ms. George is a shining example of what you could become if you do your studies and work hard. You could become a managing director of any institution in this territory. So that's a shining example for you to aspire to, one of our true role models of our community. So I think she deserves a round of applause. The chairman of Ford Motors once said, and I quote, "Social obligation is much bigger than supporting a worthy cause. It includes anything that impacts people and the quality of their lives," which is what today's gift from Harnies represents, something that will impact the lives of many for generations to come. For today, we live in a world where science and technology is no longer an option for employment or advancement, but is mandatory. So this computer lab will be essential in building a strong foundation for our students to excel in their life's pursuit. I know this for a fact because my career that I've made was through technology, and I know the benefits and advantages you get from learning a foundation in technology. So Francis Lettsome Primary School, I urge you to take full advantage of the opportunities this computer lab affords you, but more importantly, I want you to take care of it so that other students could benefit from the generosity you had the privilege to benefit from Harnies. So in closing, I said I would be brief. I would like to again thank Ms. George and Harnies for their generosity, and may God continue to shower blessings on this organization and its staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Penn. We have a lot of gratitude to Harnies, and we are expressing it this morning. So we say thank you very much, and we would continue to do our part and strive for excellence. Dr. the Honorable Kedrick Pickering will bring us remarks at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Minister of Education, Member for the 8th, Madam Sheila George, Managing Partner, Harnies, teachers and staff of the Francis Lettsome Primary School, and all the members of the Ministry and Department of Education, and especially Teacher Elena. I think, looking around the room, I am probably second only to Teacher Elena as the second oldest alumni of what was then Long Look Infant School. I don't see anybody that comes close to me. I started Long Look Infant School in 1963. Spent 4 years there. At that time, you had to leave Long Look and then go up to Major Bay to finish your last 3 years, where I completed my primary school education under the tutelage of the late Obed Macfield Malone. I think Sheila George is a little bit after me in terms of being an alumni of Long Look School. But I'm going to come back to that in a minute, because there's something significant about, and I'll say Sheila for now, that some of you students need to know that is going to be an inspiration to all of you. Sheila did a really good, and apologies for saying Sheila. I know her on that level, so I'll just say Sheila for now, with your permission. Thank you so much. Outlined a number of things with respect to Hanny's involvement in the school. And there are a couple of names that I would add to individuals from Hanny's who played a significant role in establishing the relationship. Her immediate predecessor, Mr. Richard Peters. I know he has a long-standing relationship with the Director of Financial Services. And that helped with what was said, to decide that Francis Lettsome would be the school, because Mr. Richard Peters actually lives in this area, he lives in Hodges Creek. So that sort of relationship started back way then. So this was sort of the initial aspect of adapter school. It was, as was pointed out, long before it became fashionable, although some people like to claim it as their intellectual property, but it was started a long time ago. And over the years, a number of persons from Hanny's have played very pivotal role. I certainly recognize the work that Susanna has done. But Gianna Skelton, who worked at Hanny, was also very instrumental in keeping that relationship running. And her name, help me with the name, the lady who took over from Gianna. Right, she picked up the ball and she ran with it, and she played also a major role in keeping the relationship running. So these things don't just happen. I want to make that point. Nothing just happens. It happens by people making it happen. When I was pushing to get the school upgraded, and I sat with the architect who did this design, Miss Evelyn Potter, two of the things I pointed out to her that were very critical: we wanted a lunchroom for the students, and we wanted a computer lab. Those were two critical things. The original design that we looked at, we wanted to put a roof between the two buildings and create an amphitheater right in the middle. And I've already discussed that with my colleague, the Honorable Minister of Education, that now when we have to reconstruct the next half of the building, that we incorporate that so that you will have your own amphitheater to be able to conduct your activities, your graduations, your Christmas concerts, etc. That was a part of the bigger vision for the school. And I don't need to repeat what I've said over and over again, that my ambition is to make Francis Lettsome the #1 primary school in the territory. I mean that, and I will continue to live by that. So we've arrived at this position. And a number of teachers have played their role. And I started at the Long Infant School. Teacher Lou Walters was the principal. And then teacher Claudia took over. And then teacher Harrigan took over. And then we had teacher Janice. And then teacher Elena. And now we have teacher Miss Jalwell, James. So, things don't just happen. You see things building one step at a time. And we've arrived at this place, and as was pointed out again, when the initial thought came forward, Sheila and I had a long discussion when she became the managing partner of Hanny's, her role, because this is near and dear to her heart. Those were her words. And what can she do from where she sits to ensure that the school continues to improve? And so she asked Kimberly Crabb, who's now in the Hong Kong office of Hanny's, if she would accompany me at the school to take a physical view of the school and then see what were the things that needed the greatest impact and how could we elevate what we're doing at the school. And Kimberly worked pivotal behind the scenes to make what is happening today happen. So we've arrived at this place, and then we had a discussion, the three of us, Sheila, the minister, myself, to make this thing happen. We didn't just want to put computers in the school, because lessons learned would have taught us that, yeah, you could put computers in school, but there has to be somebody who knows how to maintain and protect computers. There has to be somebody who can teach, the technology. It ain't just about going on a computer, and that's where the minister, jumped on it and decided we will get it done. And we are here at this point now, and it's left up to teachers and students and parents to really build on what is here, because you have the support of the Minister of Education, you have a support and Miss Sheila George to really make this thing become what it could become, a shining example of using technology for educational purposes in today's world. Because the BVI will become a great little nation. I may not live to see it. It will become. That's ordained. But everything that is done is not just an isolation. So the Minister of Education and my honorable colleague, Marlon Penn, worked diligently to make sure that the field was completed, because we understand that children need recreational facilities. We were at a disservice for a couple of years when we didn't have the recreational facilities. So we've worked hard to ensure that. And tonight, we're having a public meeting at the community center to discuss the development of the land right next here with the festival ground site. And we encourage all of you to come up, because it is also a part of building the nation, block by block, little bit by little bit, to ensure that all of the pieces eventually come together, that you students who are sitting here this morning will be able to compete with anybody, anywhere in the Caribbean, anywhere in the world. That's what we are working so hard for, to ensure that we put the pieces together, that you will be second to none anywhere you go in this world. These are the building blocks. These are the pieces. And it is therefore what my honorable colleague said, that the opportunities that you children have staring you in the face are beyond your imagination. You must embrace it. You must take the advantage of the opportunities to ensure that you set yourself up to become what you can become. There'll be no limits. Let me just pause to say this. When I was growing up, I have to say this every now and again. You got to continually look back. Don't know where you came from. You can't have a sense of where you're going. When I grew up in this community, there wasn't a lot to look forward to. In fact, as a youngster growing up in the 60s, getting your papers fixed was it. Get your papers fixed. What that means to you young people, you get a U.S. visa so you could go to the States. Them who didn't have formal education went to job corps and went to the army. But just to leave because there was nothing. Josiah's Bay and Lambert were our heaven. But it was all pasture, cow. If you had cows, you were it, because that was the order of the day. There were no hotels and no nothing fancy. There were only one or two people who had a vehicle. I remember the first time I drove to Rotong in a vehicle in 1966 when I went to represent Longlook Infant School on a spelling quiz. One of the first time I drove in a vehicle to go to Rotong. The education department used to be right behind the high school there. I never forget a man named Clough was the chief education officer at the time. It was the first time I drove in a vehicle. These things are important to put things in historical context, because things don't just happen. What you see today ain't what it was. You have to ride a donkey from here to go to Josiah's Bay to work and work hard and then bring home the little produce. That was just a couple of years ago. And every now and again I tell people, you think I grew up with a necktie around my neck? Some people think that they see you what you are today. That's life don't work like that. And so that's what this represents. We've arrived at a place. So back to Ms. Sheila George, who she probably don't want me to say this, but it has to be said. She grew up in the hill up there, at that time where teacher Tishanda lives, up there, up the hill. But it wasn't no big house up there then. You must understand this. It was a donkey track. It wasn't even a main road. Sheila had to walk from there every day to come to Longlook to go to school. And then when we left Longlook, she had to walk from there all the way up there, all the way to East End, every day and back. I understand that. The same lady you see sitting there today who's managing partner of Hanny's. Give her a round of applause. That's what Honorable Penn speaking about. She must serve as an inspiration to you that you could become anything. She head up the largest law firm in the BVI and one of the big international law firms. Same little girl who grew up Jennings Hill, walking to school back and forth. Opportunities you have that could take you anywhere in this world where you want to go. That's what is happening before you here today. This is just not computer sitting in a lab at Francis. It spells opportunity. Opportunity means I can become anything I want to become. That's what you're looking at here to the students, teachers, all this opportunity that are here. Those of us who you elect that have to work hard to make the country better, we will do the best we can. But we can only provide opportunities. And so I want to congratulate, Hannies. I want to congratulate the teachers. I want to congratulate the Parent Teachers Association. I want to congratulate the wider community who have embraced all of these things to ensure that we build a better life for us all. God bless you. God continue to bless these islands. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pickering, for your inspiring remarks. Now we'll hear from Honorable Myron V. Walwin. Give us some remarks.
I will dispense with the protocol and specifically recognize Ms. Sheila George from Harnies for what she has done here at Francis Lettsome and what she continues to do for the school and also for the territory, because the fact that she's managing partner is something that we should all celebrate here in the Virgin Islands because it's indeed a great accomplishment. I was thinking of the meeting that I had with Ms. George when she called me initially. And true to form, how she said it went is exactly how it went. But one of the things that I left feeling impressed about when we met was that I've had meetings in the past with companies that wanted to put computers in the schools. And we have seen it happen throughout many of the schools in the territory, where the computers are in place, there's a lovely ceremony, we get a nice little photo up, we go away, you come back a year later, computers are not working, nothing is happening. And that is something that impressed me when I met with Ms. George, because she wanted to she insisted that we have a curriculum in place and that we have someone in place to teach IT. That told me that it was a lot more than just making a donation, doing a photo op. It was making sure that the students indeed had an environment where they could learn the technology, and I was very grateful that that happened. I want to thank the staff at the Department of Education, because as soon as I left that meeting with you, Ms. George and the Honorable Deputy Premier, I went straight to a lady called Fraser. And I met as well with Dr. Bruley, and we sat down and we discussed it, and I asked them to make sure it happened. And when I left the office, I felt the assurance that it would happen. And it did indeed happen. We didn't have a curriculum in place, but we had one done relatively quickly. It's a good one. And that is what Mr. Pope is following. The Honorable Deputy Premier indicated that nothing happens by chance, and he's quite right. Because as he was saying that, I thought about how I met Mr. Pope. Because one of the things that we were discussing when I met with the Deputy Chief Education Officer, Ms. Fraser, was who will we get to teach IT in the schools? And we tossed around a few names, and one name stuck, but it didn't work out. And one day I decided to go to Rotary for lunch. I've been quite delinquent. I'm very ashamed of it. But I went that day. And I came late because I was in a meeting. And I think there was 1 or 2 chairs available on the table that Mr. Pope was sitting at. Never met him before in life. And, I like to talk. So I started talking, asking what does he do for a living, blah, 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 blah. You working? He said, no. I said, you're not working. He said, no, I have an associate's in IT from the college. And I'm not working. I said, uh-huh. So I said to him, get me a resume the next day. And I'm sure Mr. Pope in his mind, these politicians are always telling people to do stuff and they don't do anything. So he brought the resume. I think I went straight to the Chief Education Officer and said, this is somebody that we can get to do the program. And true to form, we met him, we were impressed with him, and he's here now carrying out the work at the program. So again, that tells us that nothing happens by chance. I think perhaps that was divine intervention, Mr. Pope. But IT in schools is very important. Because what is the value of education if you can't apply it to everyday life? You come to school every day, you get all A's, and you can't apply it to anything in practical life. Your education is worthless. And so, where the world is going now, we cannot afford to have children particularly in the primary schools, as you were saying, Ms. George, who are not savvy in the use of computers and technology. But say one, say two. And I want to challenge the education officials and also the teachers to think a little bit outside the box as well. When we visited Hertfordshire County Council in the UK, myself, the deputy chief, and the chief, and my permanent secretary, we went to look at schools to see how the schools are being managed and to look at some of the best practices that we can apply here in our school system here. And one of the things that we noticed in perhaps a school that is the size of Elmo Stout in terms of population, but half the size in terms of the campus. So that tells us then that we're talking about the school at Elmo Stout is, we need a new school, we need this, we need that. Perhaps we need to organize the school. And that is something that we will do. But when we went to this school, there were about 1,200 students in the school. And we noticed that there were students who were using their telephones. And we asked about it and said, well, you allow this to happen? And they said yes. They said the key to it is to teach the children how to use the technology safely. And that is something that we must do here, because right now in our school system, if somebody has an iPad, they get suspended. So we're saying one thing out of our mouth and doing something different. We have to find a way to teach the students how to use the tools that they have in a responsible way. And so I'm challenging the Chief Education Officer and the teachers who are here and those who will hear on television to let us find a way to show the students how to use the tools that they have in an effective way. If you have a phone, you can do a lot of useful things with it for research and to help in your classwork. Not to be there Googling, being on YouTube and doing other things and Facebook and so forth. So we have to try and find a way to do that. The public-private partnership that's formed between the school and Harneys. And even last week we did a dedication of a generator by Lime. It's very important to the community because we've somewhat grown into a society to some extent where there's a heavy dependence on government. Government cannot do everything. It's not possible. And particularly in times like this, where in the world where you have economic challenges, government can't do everything. And so we need the business community to step up and assist us. And Harneys is doing that this morning, and we're very grateful to them. Because, as I said, we can't do it all. We can't be all things to all people. It's not possible. And so we need the help of the business community and those individuals who can assist us in what we're doing here. I want to say to the students again that you're very lucky, as you heard before, because this is something new. We don't have IT in the schools in the way you have it here at Francis Lettsome. We have some computers that are being used, yes, but the information technology is not a part of the curriculum in the primary schools. And it is something that we must get done, and we will get done. I cannot guarantee you, Ms. George, that I'll have it in the time that you said, because we have to see how this program works. We'll use this, as you say, as a pilot to see what works, what doesn't work. And then, of course, we'll have to hire a cadre of IT teachers, and then also as well train the teachers in the schools somewhat in technology so they can help to deliver the programs. So again, I want to thank you very much, Harneys, for what you have done. I want to encourage the students to take care of the computers that you have, take care of the school, and continue to do well in school so that you can make a meaningful contribution to the development of the country. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Walwyn. And students, I know that you have been listening. So we want you to take full advantage of the opportunities that you have here at Francis Lettsome Primary School. Make your plans, set your goals, and remember persons like Ms. George and Dr. Pickering and all the persons that spoke this morning. Ms. James, principal of the Francis Lettsome School, will give a response, and then we will have a student response by Ms. Alexia Penn.
I would like to acknowledge the protocol already established, and I would like to also say that I too am a product of the Longlook Primary School. Now, a school is a place where you go to learn, socialize, and become physically fit. Ours is the Francis Lettsome Primary School. Now, for many years, we used chalk and talk. After a while, we included some aids such as flashcards and a few more. But recently, many schools are involved in using the computers. And we are grateful indeed to be sponsored by Hanny's Corporation. The company provided in August 20 computers and monitors for our students to use. I can assure you that these computers would be used to assist the students in learning. There are many reading programs such as Staff Hall and Ed Helpers that students would be engaging. They would also use educational games, quizzes, and many other activities that are online to assist them in their work. Research and other assignments would be given so that the students would use the computers to do what they need to do. Our teachers also would use the computers to make work easier, save the government money for buying papers, creating chats, and teaching students collectively as well as one-to-one tutoring. It is indeed a privilege to have such a kind and generous shareholder who, I must say, put their money where their mouth is. Yes, I call that progress. I call that education. I call that love. And it is concern. And it is sure bet getting the work done. Francis Lettsome Primary School will excel to continue and to do the best that they can. We reach for the stars and we continue to reach for them. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Francis Lettsome Primary School, I would like to thank our sponsor Hanny's for presenting these computers to us. We will definitely need them now that we are learning how to use computers in school. You have been a wonderful sponsor to our school, and I hope that this relationship between us will always stay. We promise to take very good care of these computers, and once again, thank you.
I too love this school. I have some background, heritage here in this area, East End and Longlook. Yes, I know all about Josiah's Bay. I know about Petered. I know where I had to go, and I thank God for the experience. Students, this has been a wonderful ceremony this morning, and we want you to really take full advantage of these computers and take good care of them. Thank you. We'll have Mrs. Takesha Thomas Horman to give us the vote of thanks.
Good morning to all. I acknowledge the protocol already established here this morning. On behalf of the principal, staff, and students of the Francis Lettsome Primary School, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you to the following persons. First of all, our sponsor Hanny's for furnishing our computer lab so that we can teach our students the basic computer skills which are needed in these modern technological years. And also to the Department of Information Systems Unit for installing the computers and ensuring that they are working. The Ministry and Department of Education and Culture for their continued support to our school and to the education of our students. To Teacher Lashan Websat Adain for inviting God's presence here today. To Mrs. Sheila George, the managing partner of Harney's, Mr. Jeremiah Fred, our PTA president, Honorable Marlon Penn, the representative for the 8th District, Dr. the Honorable Kedrick Pickering, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Natural Resources and Labor. Oh, sorry, Deputy Premier, I'm sorry. Minister of Natural Resources and Labor, and especially the 7th District representative, and to the Honorable Myron Walwyn, the Minister of Education and Culture, for their remarks. To Mrs. James, our principal, for her response on behalf of the entire Francis Lettsome Primary School body. To Miss Alexa Penn, for her response on behalf of the students, and to Miss Zianka Jeffers and Miss Melanie Piano for singing the national anthem and the territorial song so lustily. To Miss Kathleen Foy and her team for the lovely decorations you see here this morning. To GIS and the members of the media for their presence and documentation of this memorable event. And to Mrs. Fraser, our liaison officer, for her overwhelming support and for chairing this program so ably. And finally, by no means last, all of you who took the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. I think I'm missing somebody, but I want to apologize for anybody that I missed, and I want to say a great big thank you to all who participated and who contributed to this event today. Thank you all for being here, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Mrs. Thomas, but I must add our special thank you to Mr. Neville Smith and Caribbean Securities. He's been here on this project, I know. He's been here. So we thank you all for coming. We thank you for a wonderful morning. And we do let you know that we will take care of this equipment and it will be put to full and proper use. Thank you very much. Thank you.